This is the Kraken Draft Show, keeping you up to the minute with all 30 picks of the Kraken expansion draft. With Kraken insiders Jon Morosi and Mike Salk on 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
It's happening, everybody. The NHL expansion draft special is here. Can't believe it. A new franchise, the roster being unveiled today. Bob Stelton with you. Mike Salk in studio with me, our NHL analyst, expert, insider, maniac, Jon Morosi with us as well. And we are going to take you through this whole thing. I'm going to be an expert by the time we get out of here 2 hours from now, right?
Sure.
You guys are going to teach me everything I could possibly need or want to know about this.
We're going to teach you some great terms, Bob. You got to learn about mucking. You got to learn about guys with jam, guys who play with sandpaper.
You and Morosi, we're on a group and hi, John. We can let
Bob,
say
Mike, outstanding, my friends. Great to be with you. I've been thinking about this night for a very long time, and all those hockey references, Bob and Mike, that I've been sneaking into my various segments on the network. It was all an audition for this.
Well, this is what makes this great is, first of all, the excitement. I'm fired up for it, like I know a lot of people listening are. You guys are fired up as hockey experts. But how often is it in any sport that you're there on the ground floor of a franchise? You didn't join 10 years after they came into existence, 20 years, what have you. You're here for the beginning. And you're not a little kid. You're going to be able to reflect on it and go, I remember when the Kraken were unveiled in Seattle. We were talking about the expansion draft and the first player they took or the first head coach or the first win was this. I mean, to be there in the beginning of a major franchise's birth is really, really something unique and special.
I've never experienced anything like it, and John, I don't think you have either. I mean, you grew up in Detroit, right? And I grew up in Boston, so our teams were pretty well, identified and well on their way before either of us was born. So we inherited the teams that we grew up rooting for, and then obviously I moved to Seattle and became a fan here and got to sort of immerse myself in the Seattle culture. But the idea of an entire roster being dropped into your lap in 1.5 hours, like, here you go. This is your new team. Get to know all of them because you're about to love them. It's such a cool, unique experience, and I have spent the last, however many hours just poring over these names and the possibilities and what this team looks like. And, a lot of it got leaked over the course of the day, so maybe you've heard about some of it, but we'll get a chance here today to really see it confirmed and then discuss what it all means and who these guys are.
Yeah, and John, before you jump in, just a quick note for listeners. We're going to have just a bevy of Seattle legends making the picks, right? So you're going to have Marshawn Lynch, you're going to have Sue Bird and Kyle Lewis, and we're going to send you out as soon as they step up there to make their pick. We'll send you out, let you hear them announce the picks, as Mike said. John, a lot of the names have been revealed. We can debate each one. Hey, was it the right move? Is this a move that leads to another move? Or these side? I'm learning a lot about side deals and things like that right now. And we'll rely on you guys to explain all of that. But just the fact that we're going to be able to go through and really look at a roster being assembled in front of our eyes is really a cool thing.
Well, you're right, Bob and Mike. And for me, professionally, personally, I've never had a day like this. I've never done an expansion draft as a broadcaster, and certainly you both know how I feel about Seattle and my family's connections there, and what a special event and what a wonderful team this is going to be. What a great experience it'll be for the community. And I can speak, though, while I haven't lived an expansion draft myself in the past, I've covered now 2 playoff series in Las Vegas. I've covered 2 Vegas Golden Knights playoff series, one in their inaugural year, and then most recently their series against the Canadiens. And what I have found from going there and watching games at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas is you don't need to have been a serious hockey fan for your entire life to be a hockey fan now. This is not a network conversation. This is not a city or a sport where we put up barriers and say you must achieve these theses that you must study to be able to step into these walls of the hockey family. No, quite the opposite. Hockey people I have always found to be incredibly welcoming. It's a community that wants you to learn about the sport, is eager to help you learn about the sport. Hockey, to me, guys, is a sport that meets you wherever you are. If you want to be at the rink and just feel the energy, the pace of the game, you can do that. If you want to get into the numbers and the salary cap and all those granular things and the data, you can do that too, wherever you want to be as a sports fan. I think it's really important to make this point. the hockey community wants you to be part of it. They say hockey's for everyone. They mean it. So I am honored to be here with both of you and all our listeners here tonight.
Well, and I think that's important because we've seen with other sports, whether it's soccer or whether it's rugby or anything else, it's probably any sport. There's a certain amount of the hardcores that feel like, yeah, if you don't know what you're talking about, save it for somebody else. And I think you're right. I was in St. Louis for a little over a year, went to a lot of Blues games out there. Obviously, a novice at best when it comes to hockey, and people were more than eager. Listeners, coworkers, people were more than eager to explain the sport, answer questions, anything about it. I thought there is a slight difference. We'll get some blowback from Sounders fans, and you don't know what you're talking about, and why are you talking about it if you don't know the sport? There is a different
hockey has a little bit more. Look, there's more of a history here in this country. I mean, arguably the greatest sports moment, certainly in international history when it comes to the United States, is what happened with the Miracle on Ice and what they were able to accomplish. So hockey has a lineage in America, and I think in much of the country, it is considered one of the four major sports, and my apologies to soccer fans, it has never been that way. MLS has come on in the last couple of years and has started to make a case for itself, and certainly on the international stage, soccer's gigantic. But hockey has always been, at least in my lifetime, one of the four major sports, and until ESPN lost the rights, 15 years or so ago, and decided that they didn't want to pay any more attention to it, hockey was right there with all of the other sports. So, I think that's one of the differences. It feels today like this is the dawn of another major sport here in Seattle. And right off the bat, and at least looking at some of the names we've seen, it should be a team that's going to have a lot of ability to contend right away, just like we expected they would, and a lot of flexibility to get better even after today. So as we go through some of these names, I think we're going to be talking about a roster that has a legitimate chance to be fun to watch and successful right off the bat.
And that's the expectation, right, John? And by the way, again, as soon as people are up there making the picks, whether it's Sean Payton, or Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, and what have you, they're all out there. They're going to be stepping up, making those picks. We'll send you out there. But it seems like Vegas set the standard, John, that everybody expects, well, look, they got to the Stanley Cup Finals in their inaugural season. Isn't that what's going to happen with Seattle? Is that fair?
No, it's not fair because that was truly an expansion season in our country without precedent. No one else in any sport had been as successful as the Vegas Golden Knights were in their inaugural year. So that standard is probably unattainable, to be honest. But if the question is, can the Kraken put together a playoff caliber roster, I believe the answer is yes. The division they're playing in right now makes it even more possible. Yes, the Golden Knights themselves are in it, but the California teams, by and large, are in various stages of rebuilds. So those three teams have all been very good at different points of the last decade, and to have them all going through rebuilds makes it a good competitive situation for the Seattle Kraken. And while the Kraken reportedly did not land what we would describe as an elite top line trio right now to begin the expansion draft necessarily on the offensive side in terms of a forward line, the Vegas Golden Knights did not either. Those players grew into those roles, and so we'll get a chance to see if some of the players with increased ice time, and I think that's one of the key things as we talk about hockey and numbers and how you put up points as an offensive player, often your productivity in terms of goals, assists, a lot of the time is tied to your ice time, how often you're starting a face-off in the offensive zone when the coach puts you out on a line change to give you that prime ice time, how much time you spend on the power play. So you could have a player who scores on average 10 goals a year who jumps up to being a 25-goal scorer with better ice time. And as the old saying goes in hockey, someone's going to get the goals. Someone's going to play on the power play. And one of the great things to find out now, if you're a Kraken fan, is who is Dave Hackstall going to trust with those key minutes? And we're about to start finding that out tonight.
Essentially, how if to put it in a sport that most of us are more familiar with here in Seattle, how many more runs can you drive in when you're hitting third or fourth versus when you're hitting ninth in the order? There are just fewer ducks in the pond available for you, and the pitches you see are going to be different, et cetera. So, yeah, John's absolutely right about that. You've got some guys on this team that are second and third line kinds of players that maybe have the ability to get better, or it sure sounds like there's going to be a lot of available cap space for this Kraken team to continue to add to what they have. The other thing we get to find out tonight, though, is what kind of a team they want to build. And we've heard some hints at this and some
let's
conversation
get the first pick right now. We'll send it out to Gasworks Park and see what they unveil.
Picks, by the way, by division, beginning with the Atlantic in alphabetical order. So first up will be the Boston Bruins.
So from the Boston Bruins, the Seattle Kraken select Jeremy Lauzon.
Jeremy Lauzon. I'm relying on you guys for background on this.
I'll jump in on this one first as a
Boston
guy because I texted my dad about this. Noted Bruins aficionado Larry Salk. Okay. And the first thing he said is, oh, my God, I love that guy. Plays with a ton of sandpaper, young, makes some mistakes. But
what does that mean, playing with sandpaper?
Well, he's rough.
Okay.
He's gritty.
Okay.
Right? He'll get after you. He'll find a way to hit you. No, he's not a huge guy, but he's a guy who will play with a lot of
6'1",
physicality.
204.
Yeah, he's not a huge dude. He's a rough and tumble kind of guy. So he was actually really upset when I told him that he was coming to the Kraken.
All right, well, let's send it back out. I guess they're going to unveil the second pick out at Gasworks Park with Chris Fowler.
So we'll see what the Sabres can offer here. Perhaps
you're rubbing it in there.
Yeah, sorry, Sabres fan. Those are facts. To introduce the Sabres pick, please welcome to the stage another absolute Seattle legend, a Hall of Famer as a player and a coach, led the Supersonics to an NBA title, still calls Seattle home, Coach Lenny Wilkens. Lenny. Welcome.
Thank you.
What is seen here? I'm told that along your various stops, coaching hoops, you have become a passionate hockey fan as well.
Well, see, you got to know about Providence College. All right, Providence College had great hockey teams and still do. And I used to bump with them once in a while on the ice, but just a little bit.
Well, I know you know about building a roster and building chemistry, so let's begin to unravel the pieces of this puzzle here. And you have the announcement of the Buffalo Sabres contribution to the Kraken.
Well, I certainly do. And look at that crowd. I mean, isn't that unbelievable? You're going to do it. You're going to do it. But from the Buffalo Sabres, the Seattle Kraken select Will Borgen.
There you go, Will Borgen, 24 years old, restricted free agent, 2015 draft pick of the Sabres. And, John, let's let you weigh in on these first two names we've heard, Lauzon and Bogan.
Will Borgen is someone who is a defenseman with depth. He's probably going to play somewhere, Bob, in the third pairing, a young defenseman, and really from a standpoint of what he's going to earn against the salary cap, which, as we know, is a really key aspect of these decisions, it's in that same range as what Jeremy Lauzon will likely earn. Lauzon, a little bit more experience, whom they got from the Boston Bruins, and as we know, reportedly, Bob and Mike, a lot more defensemen coming in who are more veteran, who are earning a little bit more against the cap. So that for me is a nice pickup for depth.
All right, let's send it back out as these picks are coming fast and furious, live from Gasworks Park. Seattle Aquarium is the site of this one.
Lickers will now reveal the pick as has ever been done before. And the pick is...
Bob, I don't know if it can talk.
Dennis
That's an octopus.
Cholowski.
An octopus just gave the pick.
They've got a little card in the tank at the aquarium. Dennis Cholowski? Is that
Cholowski. Yes, and of course we have to have the octopus, a reference to my home state, the Detroit Red Wings. Of course, the octopi always being thrown on the ice, which used to resemble the 8 games, 8 tentacles that were required to win the Stanley Cup back in the day. So the great tradition. Al Sabatka, the rink manager and Zamboni driver, would then hurl the octopus above his head, spin it around, one of the great traditions in hockey. So yes, Dennis Cholowski, also a depth defenseman. I love the way that Ron Francis, there's very much a theme here. Ron Francis going heavy with a lot of depth defensemen. It seems this roster is more heavily tilted toward defense, which is a very sound approach. Cholowski is someone who, again, I think will be fighting for those third pairing minutes with the likes of Lauzon and Borgen as well.
Yeah, Cholowski may be a little bit more of an offensive threat. I think what you see with Borgen is a guy who's a little bit more physical, bigger, may even be a threat to drop the gloves on occasion. So, John's right. I mean, this is a theme. There is a bunch of depth defensemen being picked, and as we go through this, there are going to be a lot of defensemen picked in general. It sure seems to be where Ron Francis believed the most depth was here. as he looked across his options.
Is that how you would look at it? Like going into this, did you have in mind, hey, you've got to start with this kind of player? I need this, and I know Francis has what he wants to see in mind. But just as fans, as analysts, as experts, do you look at it and say, okay, you've got to build with defensemen. You've got to build with this kind of guy first. This is sort of like in baseball where you're talking about up the middle with a catcher and a shortstop and a second baseman, center fielder. Is that sort of the mindset with hockey?
Yes, I would say when you look at the way, Bob, that the Montreal Canadiens reached the Stanley Cup final this year, it was on the back of 4 elite defensemen. And to me, one of my favorite things that I've watched in the NHL in recent years has been the changing way that teams look at defensemen and how you can generate offense from your defense. We talk a lot about transition play, defensemen who are very good at making the first pass. When you look at that common thread, teams that have been winning cups the last decade, whether it's Drew Doughty with the LA Kings, Duncan Keith, who just got traded to Edmonton, longtime Chicago Blackhawks defenseman, it's those teams that have elite defensemen on the back end. The Tampa Bay Lightning with Victor Hedman the last couple of years. No one of that caliber is being moved in this expansion draft, but that idea, Bob, is very present. You have to have defensemen who take care of the puck and then start your transition game if you want to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to have a shutdown guy, and it seems like they will get that later on in this draft, and we'll end up talking quite a bit about Mark Giordano, who is probably going to be the first captain of the Seattle Kraken. But the most important thing on a hockey team is the goalie. The second most important thing might be a good two-way centerman, somebody who can play both offense and defense. But the hardest thing to find, at least in my experience, is a legitimate puck-moving defenseman. And every team I've ever watched that was good was always looking for another puck-moving defenseman to add at some point to help them do exactly what John just said. If you think about the way hockey is played, everything is about offsides and icing. How do you get the puck out of your own zone, playing defense, getting it across your blue line with speed into the other team's zone so that you can come in with speed and play offense? How do you transition, essentially, from defense to offense? Mm-hmm. And the most important way to do that is by having what they call a puck-moving defenseman, someone who can skate out of his own zone and or make that first pass to start the break and get you moving with momentum towards the offensive side. So, yeah, not a surprise that that's a big spot for them early.
So far, these moves make sense to you so far. And I'm curious because, John, you brought up something about the Golden Knights and their roster and their first season. Do you remember what the reaction was? We've seen some on social media to this, like, oh, man, I don't know about this roster. It doesn't look that great to me. What was the reaction to the Golden Knights roster when they went through their expansion draft?
Well, it's interesting, and I'm glad you asked that, Bob, because there were some moves that happened after the expansion draft itself that made the Golden Knights the team they became. And one of the key things the Golden Knights did during the expansion draft was they maintained a level of salary cap flexibility, which is what the Kraken have right now. It's important to point out the Kraken next Wednesday when free agency opens, they're going to have a lot of space to work with. And there are going to be some forwards out there, whether it's Michael Granlund or others who could fit this roster well, that they'll have the room to pursue. And now that you have a bit more name recognition with these players, you're able to sell the mission, especially with how good they're going to be defensively. And I would say, Bob, that the names that were released on expansion draft night for the Vegas Golden Knights were by and large not any more impressive than the group that's being announced tonight. I actually think Seattle's group tonight, on the night, is better than what Vegas's expansion draft result was. And I think that's a key thing to remember here going forward.
Let's get the next pick from Gasworks Park here.
Chris Driedger.
Chris Driedger.
Yep.
Yes, to me he is, and this fits into the discussion we've had a lot here the last couple of days about Carey Price, yes, Carey Price, no.
So this is incredible and really exciting time, so I'm excited to get started.
It's a long journey south Florida to Seattle, but welcome to your new home.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Chris, it took a long time to... Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks for making the long journey.
So there's one of the goaltenders.
I'm so glad they did this, Bob. I'm so glad they decided not to go with Carey Price. The idea of spending 10 of your $81 million
or 34.
It was
34 years old.
$10 million, 34 years old, and with a tremendous hip issue.
The Seattle
Love
Kraken
this pick.
select Cale Fleury.
Cale Fleury.
Coming from Montreal, a defenseman from Montreal. John, Cale Fleury.
Yes, Cale Fleury, again, he's someone who actually we may hear another Fleury announced during the course of tonight's draft. We have to wait and see on that.
Any relation?
Available. Brothers, actually, yes.
Brothers, but not related to Theo.
Correct. Different Fleury family. And I think one of the things that, I'll quickly sort of add one more thing on Drieger. He, of course, had played his junior hockey in the Western Hockey League for the Tri-City Americans. So he has played hockey in the state of Washington before. Of course, that franchise based in Kennewick, Washington. So a little nice note there that he's familiar with the state. And I think that it's fitting that we're discussing the Panthers pick and the Canadiens pick together, because this could, of course, have been Carey Price. And I think for the reasons that Mike mentioned, why I'm glad that it was Fleury and not Price is it gives you that much more flexibility both in dollars right now on the cap and your roster overall. They've got a lot more maneuverability. And Drieger, again, is just entering his prime, whereas Price, for as brilliant as Price was toward the end of these playoffs.
Welcome. This is in some ways a hockey version of thrift shop. So,
very similar.
Looking for value here, so
Completely.
the stage is yours to announce.
Seattle, what's going on? You guys ready? I said, are you guys ready? Me too, man. New chapter in the city. This is an amazing thing. I'm fired up. From the Ottawa Senators, the Seattle Kraken select Joey Daccord.
Joey Daccord from the Ottawa Senators, another goaltender here. Mike,
Boston kid, though, went to Cushing Academy, so that's definitely an exciting.
So that means he's really good.
No, but from all accounts, he's a guy with a ton of personality. He's probably not someone who starts the year with the big club. Will end up starting in the minors, but because he's got a two-way contract, and we'll kind of find out who the other goalie will be. But he's got quite a bit of upside and actually played pretty well for Ottawa this past year when given some opportunities. So another good potential down the road kind of signing that could end up paying dividends for them.
All right, the picks are coming fast and furious here. We're going to let John weigh in on everything that's going on. We're going to keep you up to speed on everything that's going on. The NHL expansion draft special continues right here on 710 ESPN Seattle.
710 ESPN Seattle welcomes you back to Seahawks Training Camp, July 28th. Hear player interviews live from Seahawks Training Camp every day.
We are joined by Bobby Wagner.
Tyler Lockett is our guest.
Russell Wilson just took my mic from me.
Get prepped for the action leading up to practices with Blue 42 at 8. Around the NFL at 9:15. 4 Down Territory at 12:15. And Cold Hard Facts with John Clayton at 4.
Hey, that's great football now!
710 ESPN Seattle.
Dave Wyman here with a pro tip for you homeowners. The perfect time to schedule your roof replacement? It's right now. Another tip? Use Riverside Roofing. Check this out. Riverside Roofing will get a crew out to your home within the next 2 weeks. Don't wait on another contractor's schedule. Get your roof scheduled within 2 weeks of when you call and have your project completed for summer. Not only will Riverside Roofing have your project completed faster, they'll do it with the absolute best care and attention to detail. I trusted them to do my roof over several local bids, and I couldn't speak more highly of the experience. It's no wonder Riverside Roofing is the local gold standard in residential and commercial roofing. They are GAF Master Elite certified and credentialed, something only 3% of all roofing contractors in the country can say. The best part? They're affordable. Book today and get your roof done in the next 2 weeks. RiversideRoofingLLC.com or 425-949-8252. Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
You know us. We're the heating and air conditioning company with the big colorful logo and the recognizable trucks you see all over the Puget Sound. You know us as the company that believes in the good we're doing and the impact home comfort has on your personal happiness. In its third generation, our family-owned business has been improving the lives of our customers every day since 1957. It's one reason we're the biggest and best home comfort company in the Northwest. Choose Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. You'll be glad you did.
This is the season we love being outdoors, but if those foggy glasses and dirty contacts get in the way of fully experiencing your favorite activities, make this your summer of freedom, where you start enjoying everything with perfect, clear, natural vision. Hey, it's Dr. King. The King LASIK procedure is pain-free, over in minutes, and you can see 20/20 the very next day. Schedule your free Zoom consultation with me at kinglasik.com.
This month, save $750 off all laser LASIK. Go to kinglasik.com.
Did you know every year 400,000 life-threatening crimes are prevented using firearms?
If you're going to carry a firearm, you need to have the proper training.
Here at Bellevue Gun Club, we offer several classes for carrying a firearm.
From the ladies' entry-level and concealed carry primer to the Utah concealed carry permit that allows you to carry in up to 36 different states.
At Bellevue Gun Club, we offer the most comprehensive firearm training programs around.
So get trained at Bellevue Gun Club.
Sign up today at BellevueGunClub.com.
It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's Ultimate Unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required? See straighttalk.com.
Trade pros. Whether you specialize in service or new construction, Ferguson knows firsthand how much work goes into a long day on the job, which is why we're committed to offering the products and solutions to get every job done right. With over 1,000 locations, an unmatched selection of specialty products, tools, and supplies, our pro pickup and same or next day delivery, you can trust that doing business with Ferguson will be the easiest part of your hard day's work. Visit Ferguson.com to find a counter location near you.
Get the most on the Mariners with 710 ESPN Seattle all season long. Stream every Mariners game on your smart speaker. Just say play 710 ESPN Seattle.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and for a limited time at Blue Flame Heating and Air, get 18 months, no interest financing, or a free UV light with the purchase of any furnace or AC unit. Call Blue Flame Heating and Air. Mike and his team will take great care of you, so check them out at blueflamecomfort.com. See blueflamecomfort.com. Subject to credit approval, purchase and installation required. Valid at participating locations. Based on availability while supplies last. See blueflamecomfort.com for complete details.
Well, summer's in full swing. There's no better place to go have some fun, enjoy great food, and unwind than Snoqualmie Casino. It's Mike Salk here. Live entertainment is back, and rock fans, great shows coming. Get your tickets while they last for Everclear, Queensryche, and Skid Row. Don't miss Chris Angel Raw, the Mind Freak Unplugged. Also, new outdoor dining options as well. Tickets and info available at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest, only 30 minutes from downtown Snoqualmie Casino.
Is a new kitchen in your plans? You're probably thinking months of mess, tens of thousands of dollars, and huge hassles. Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and it just doesn't have to be that way. Our specialty is custom cabinet refacing and quartz countertops. With Heritage Homecraft, custom means built from scratch just for your kitchen. In about a week, we'll reface your existing cabinet boxes with 1/4-inch thick solid hardwood. No veneers or laminates. We can make design changes, add cabinets, install custom features like soft close drawers and sliding shelves and other cool touches, and top it off with a beautiful quartz countertop. Rather than subcontractors, we have our own team of professional craftsmen who make it easy and comfortable to have the kitchen of your dreams in about a week and save thousands. Don't put it off. Have us out and let us show you what a Heritage Homecraft custom refacing project looks like in your home. Give us a call, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
This hour of Wyman and Bob is brought to you by Greg's Japanese Auto.
You're listening to the Kraken Draft Show
Live from the Alaska Airlines studio.
on 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
From the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Seattle Kraken select Yanni Gourde.
There you go. One of the more recent picks for your Seattle Kraken as our NHL expansion draft special continues right here on 710 ESPN Seattle. Bob Stelton, Mike Salk, and Jon Morosi taking you through this for the next hour and a half. The names are flying out there, but Mike, you were saying during the break that Yanni Gourde being one of the bigger names that have been acquired by the
I'd say
Seattle
so.
Kraken.
He's one of the guys we may know. If you just watched the NHL Stanley Cup final, you saw him win his second of 2 straight cups. He played more of a third-line defensive kind of center spot for Tampa Bay, but I think he's got a lot more scoring potential. I'll let John talk more about him, but this may very well end up being your number one center and a guy who may wear an A. He's probably not the captain of this team, but maybe an alternate captain and the kind of player that I think will really come to like. He's a do-it-all, two-way. Remember I said most important things are two-way centerman?
Yeah.
I would absolutely put him in that category of a guy who can play both offense and defense up the middle.
John, what do you think, Yanni Gourde?
Yanni Gourde scored 6 goals for the Lightning in these playoffs, which actually ranked 5th on that team. So when you're the 5th leading scorer on a team that just won the Cup, and you can get that player in an expansion draft, this is a huge win for the Kraken, in my opinion. And is he maybe going to be playing in a little higher role with Seattle as potentially a first-line center than he did in Tampa Bay? Of course, but he can handle this job. He has been in the Atlantic Division, of course, the division they've been playing in for a while. Tough division. He's had a lot of tough matchups. As Mike pointed out, he is someone who can score and defend as a center, which is a very unique combination to have in the National Hockey League.
You know, the other pick we missed in there was Jared McCann from the Maple Leafs. There have been some rumors they would go in another direction, but they did end up taking McCann, 25-year-old kid who might end up being their other top-line winger. We'll wait and see if they find some other scoring in free agency. But he's another versatile guy, can play center, can play the wing, and again, has the capability to be a two-way center. Maybe he's your second-line center when all is said and done. So another controllable player who can do a bunch of different things for this team.
Not going to the next pick. All right, we'll get to the next pick here shortly. In the meantime, you guys bring up the captain a lot, and it feels like this has a completely different value to it in hockey versus any other sport. Just tell me about the role of a captain on a team.
To me, the captain in hockey is an honor that is earned. It is something that is revealed at a very august
John,
press
hold that
conference.
thought for one moment. Let's get the latest pick here.
Select Morgan Geekie.
All right, Morgan Geekie, the most recent pick coming from the Carolina Hurricanes, a forward. We'll get to him in a moment, but go ahead, continue, John, on the captain.
Sure. It is, I really think in any sport in our country, it is the sport where the captain means the most. The captain in hockey sets the tone of the room, is the public face of the organization. Certainly, reportedly, Mark Giordano, who has been the captain of the Flames, is someone that the Kraken have been looking at. And if, in fact, Giordano is selected by the Kraken, I would expect him to be potentially the next captain. He is someone who really understands the community obligations. He's always been very philanthropically involved, tremendous citizen. And that's really what the job is. It is a full-time job on and off the ice, and Mike referenced wearing a letter. That means wearing an A as an alternate captain, as it's known in hockey, and that is also a very great honor. So I would say one final note on Jared McCann as well.
The Seattle Kraken select Gavin Bayreuther.
Another defenseman.
Go Ron Francis.
That's another depth defenseman. You can just move right past that. I don't know if this guy's going to be on the team.
Well, I was going to make one point on Jared McCann that, as you were talking about earlier, he's someone that has shown the potential to be a 20-goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put him on the wing, give him good minutes playing with Gourde, as Mike was saying, I think Jared McCann from Toronto was a very, very good pick.
Now, the pick that was just made, you just talked about a depth defenseman, and it feels like that's the theme here. Is this all a setup in terms of allowing them that salary cap space to make the deals? You got the draft coming up starting on Friday, or free agencies coming up.
We're going to find out with some of these. You know, Bayreuther comes from Columbus, right? The big prediction was that Max Domi was going to be the guy coming back from Columbus. I don't know. Maybe Columbus was just as happy for them to take Domi, but this may be where we see some of these side deals where teams say, hey, don't take player X, even though we left him exposed. Take player Y, and in exchange, we will give you a draft pick, or we will give you a player. You know, John was mentioning some of the best players that Vegas took a few years ago. One of them is Jonathan Marchessault. They received an extra player just to take him.
Nathan Bastian.
Nathan Bastian, the latest name added to this Kraken roster, coming from the New Jersey Devils. Another forward coming out of there, but go ahead, continue.
Well, I'm excited about Bastian. I'll tell you why in just a moment. But, you know, some of these players that may just be depth and may not make the roster may be something that they get another player and or a draft pick for. John, I don't know if you had a chance to watch Bastian. He's just a big, energetic freak. I love this guy. He's a fourth liner. He's just an energy guy. He's not going to score 30 goals or anything like that, but he'll run around, he'll hit you, and he'll provide some energy for the team.
He'll play on the wing, and certainly in many cases, Mike and Bob, as you'll find out in Seattle, the most beloved players are not always the top goal scorers, and Bastian certainly has that part of his game.
In looking at these, and you keep talking about depth guys, does this just tell you, hey, there are deals to be made? There are side deals on the table. There's no way they're taking this particular player or that particular player because they think he's the future.
I think that's right, Bob, and we will probably find that out either later tonight or potentially in the coming days about what different transactions existed. Obviously, we
hold
have
one sec here, John.
Friday.
Let's get Sue Bird with the latest pick for the Seattle Kraken here.
Hey everyone, I'm Sue Bird, the point guard for the Seattle Storm. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there for the expansion draft today, but you're definitely in good hands. First of all, let's go Kraken. Second of all, Ron, tell us who your pick is for my hometown team, the New York Islanders.
Okay, Sue, from the New York Islanders, the Seattle Kraken select Jordan Eberle. Please welcome the news.
This is the number one guy I wanted, Bob.
Jordan Eberle. It looks like he's there, so let's see if we're going to hear from him. He's walking out on stage in his new jersey out there, which looks pretty cool, or sweater, I guess as some call it, but out there in front of a packed crowd at Gasworks Park. Here he is.
Kraken road jerseys. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it looks good.
How does it feel to walk out into this energy? I mean, it's got to be a unique experience for a player. You find you're on Long Island, now you're in the Pacific Northwest, and seeing all your new fans.
Yeah, it's amazing turnout to everyone here in the boats. This is really the first time for me in Seattle other than junior, but to see the passion here, the fans, obviously very, very excited.
Yeah, and Jordan, just wanted to ask you too, you've been so close to that Stanley Cup the last 2 years. What excites you about this new challenge of the birth of a franchise here in Seattle?
Well, it's a new challenge, just like you said. You don't get many opportunities to be part of a new franchise, and you know, anytime you get that opportunity, you can bring a cup to a city that's never had it before. That's pretty special.
All right, Jordan, you look sharp. Appreciate you being here.
All right, there you go. There's Jordan Eberle, the latest name announced for the Seattle Kraken franchise. Somebody you, Mike Salk, are excited
He was
about.
my number one guy. I was the one player I was really hoping they would come away from within this draft. He's a guy who can put the puck in the net, a right winger who will probably play on their first or second line. He can score. He's got experience. They had another good option in New York and the Islanders with Josh Bailey, who's also a very good player. So the fact that they took Eberle says they really like him and like what he can bring to the table. I totally agree. He played in Edmonton, so maybe you've had a chance to see him there. He finds a way to score, and I love that.
Before we get to John, let's get the pick from the Rangers next.
Measured up to this, but you were taken to the expansion draft from Columbus back in 2008, so you kind of know what players like Jordan are going through.
Exactly. I found out on a flight home 3 days after we won the championship. So this is a little bit different. This is absolutely insane. You guys are crazy. I hope that these players understand what they're getting themselves into, because this is a special place.
When you come in to a team where everybody is new, it's a different experience than players have had before in their life. What's the most important thing, kind of bonding and developing chemistry?
Yeah, look, these guys, I know the wikis, I know, the GM. That's their due diligence, is to get the guys on the same page. And you'll notice these are all hard workers. And that's the most important thing. Good guys in the locker room, sprinkled in with a couple talented players, and you'll be in the playoffs 12 straight years, just like the Sounders.
You heard Brad. Now, all right, ready to announce the contribution to this new team from the New York Rangers.
From the New York Rangers, the Seattle Kraken select Colin Blackwell.
There you go, Colin Blackwell coming over from the New York Rangers, another forward. We're going to get some perspective from Jon Morosi, Mike Salk when we continue. I'm Bob Stelton. The NHL Expansion Draft Special rolls on right here on 710 ESPN Seattle.
710 ESPN Seattle welcomes you back to Seahawks Training Camp, July 28th. Hear player interviews live from Seahawks Training Camp every day.
We are joined by Bobby Wagner.
Tyler Lockett is our guest. Russell Wilson just took my mic from me.
Get prepped for the action leading up to practices with Blue 42 at 8. Around the NFL at 9:15. 4 Down Territory at 12:15. And Cold Hard Facts with John Clayton at 4.
Hey, that's great football now!
710 ESPN Seattle.
It's so amazing how a quality night's sleep can impact your day. It's Bob Stelton here for Sleep Number. I've just got more energy, I've got more focus, and thanks to Sleep Number, that happens every day. My setting is at 75. I wanted the mattress to be a little bit firmer, so I pushed a button and made it the mattress I wanted it to be. You can do that on each side of the bed. Set it to your ideal firmness. So couples get exactly what they want on each side. Nobody has to compromise. And with Sleep IQ technology inside of the bed, you learn how you're sleeping. You wake up every morning, you get a sleep score on your phone. It tells you how much restful sleep you had, how much restless sleep you had. If you got up out of bed, how long were you up? You get your heart rates, your breathing patterns, everything you could possibly need to know about that night of sleep. Discover proven quality sleep. Save up to $1,000 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds and adjustable bases. Plus, special financing only for a limited time at one of the 10 Puget Sound Sleep Number stores or sleepnumber.com. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details.
Hey, Brock Ewart here for my friends over at Xfinity. Summer is in full swing, and so is the latest from baseball, golf, soccer, and football right around the corner. In fact, my little guy and I had a chance to go to the All-Star game, and what a blast it was. The only problem, now he has more teams and more players to follow. The solution, Xfinity. So easy to stream all the games you want with the fastest internet and experience a powerful and secure Wi-Fi connection. How? Well, get that powerful and secure connection with Xfinity XFi for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement. Simply go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or go visit your local Xfinity store today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/30/21. New Performance Starter Plus customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. XFi Advanced Security is available to Xfinity Internet customers with a compatible Xfinity XFi gateway. Don't wait a second longer. Make the call to 1-800-XFI-NITY.
Baldwin Signs is now hiring skilled, experienced, high-value positions within their growing company in beautiful Spokane. In business since 1940, Baldwin Signs is looking for 04 journeyman electricians with 10 years of trade experience and offering a lucrative $10,000 signing bonus and competitive wages relative to the West Side. Make great money and improve your quality of life. Other positions available include a general manager, CNC operator, and experienced sheet metal fabrication. All applicants must be willing to relocate to work at Baldwin Signs headquarters in Spokane. A higher quality of life and lower cost of living await you, and you won't have to take a pay cut. If you're an 04 journeyman electrician, general manager, CNC operator, or experienced sheet metal fabrication, this is your sign to join Baldwin Signs. Baldwin Signs is looking for skilled, experienced applicants to join their all-star team. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Apply now at baldwinsigns.com or call 509-489-9191. That's baldwinsigns.com.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people will remember radio ads. So, 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get the most on the Mariners with 710 ESPN Seattle all season long. Stream every Mariners game on your smart speaker. Just say play 710 ESPN Seattle.
In difficult times, Matvey Foundation Repair is adapting right along with you. So if you're experiencing foundation problems, walls that crack, uneven floors, stuck windows, or doors that jam, Matvey Foundation Repair is offering no-contact inspections so Matvey can fix structural issues without you ever leaving your house. It's often an easy fix that can mitigate expensive repairs down the road. And Matvey's work is backed by a 25-year warranty. No one else offers that kind of guarantee. Free evaluations. Call 844-9-MATVEY or MatveyFoundationRepair.com.
Restrictions to normal activities have caused a surge in chronic neck, back, joint, and nerve pain. Chronic pain is a real problem. According to the CDC, 128 people die each day from opioid overdose. At Sound Pain Solutions, reducing pain without the use of narcotics or surgery has always been our priority. All of our therapies are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, and narcotic-free, giving our patients an alternative to addictive painkillers and invasive surgery. We've discovered a new, innovative bioelectrical therapy that produces remarkable results in relieving chronic pain. By continually varying the wave frequency, amplitude, and polarity, our new therapy has been shown to reduce pain, restore strength, and even regenerate damaged nerves. It's performed by medical providers and is covered by most insurance. Learn if you qualify for our chronic pain treatment. Schedule a free consultation at soundpainsolutions.com. That's soundpainsolutions.com.
We've all learned over the past year that safety comes first, and that's just what All-Wheel Drive Auto has been providing for Subaru owners for 15 years. Here's Justin Staub.
You have my word. We will always do our best to keep your Subaru safe and reliable for you and your loved ones. You're never just a number at our shop, but instead a valued part of the Subaru community.
Get a free Subaru loaner or local shuttle service at All-Wheel Drive Auto in Kirkland and Drive Auto Sports in Everett. AllWheelDriveAuto.com.
You're listening to the Kraken Draft Show
Live from the Alaska Airlines studio.
on 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
Our NHL expansion draft special continues right here on 710 ESPN Seattle. Bob Stelton, Mike Salk, and Jon Morosi with you. Carson Turinsky is the latest name added to the Kraken roster as they broadcast live from Gasworks Park. And John, I want to let you weigh in on what's happened to this point. Some of the names, and Salk talking about the depth guys that are going to be with his team. Some may not be with the team. Just a quick thought from what we've seen to this point.
Well, Bob, for me, in the last couple of minutes, we saw, I think, two of the really key names, both from New York. The Islanders, Jordan Eberle, as Mike alluded to, and then Colin Blackwell from the Rangers. I think both are going to have really prominent forward roles on this team. As Mike alluded to, Jordan Eberle has had 6 seasons of 20 or more goals. And that is a pretty good track record of scoring. I think in the right system, which I believe Dave Haxtell is going to do a good job of implementing that with him, I think he's going to shine in this system. I look at him being for the Kraken what James Neal was for that inaugural Vegas Golden Knights team. And then with Blackwell, he is someone who played very well for Team USA at the World Championships in the springtime. I thought he really showed a lot of growth there. Colin Blackwell, I think, is going to be a very valuable player who can actually play center or wing for the Kraken.
A few of these picks, John, and Turinsky is one of them, where the Kraken took a player that is not particularly highly regarded, may or may not make a team. I mean, Turinsky's a gritty guy with a little bit of size, but he's probably a fourth liner. They leave a big name, longtime veteran scorer, James Van Riemsdyk. Is this another possibility where we see one of these side deals where they were paid not to take
the Seattle
Van
Kraken
Riemsdyk?
select Brandon Tanev. And Brandon is here with us today. Brandon?
Brandon, welcome. Say hello to Cammie.
How are you?
Cammie, how are you?
Congrats.
What's going on, Kraken fans?
Knows how to play to the crowd, not afraid to do the dirty work in hockey. What is it about throwing your body in front of a flying puck that you like?
It's not a glamorous job, but I mean, anything the team asks is what you want to go out there and do, and the guys appreciate it in the locker room, so it's not the best thing in the world, but it's fun to get something done for the Tans and for the boys out there.
Yeah, Brandon's. I promise you, this guy will be one of your fan favorites. He hits everything that moves.
You're going to have, speaking of that, potential run-ins with your older brother Christopher in this division. He plays for Calgary. Has that occurred? Have you guys talked already? Did you share the secret with him?
I hadn't shared the secret with him.
All right, there's Brandon Tanev, 6 feet, 180. He looks bigger than that, and that's a heck of a picture they've got of him on the screen. He looks frightened. But,
Tom Murphy eyes.
Yeah, but John, give a thought on this. Salk excited about this pick. Why should we be excited?
I am too. A strong left winger. Of course, he played 4 years at Providence College, so Lenny Wilkins is going to love that pick to have Tanev in there. And we heard Dominic Moore referring to this. He's someone who has a lot of playoff experience, both with the Jets and the Penguins. So playoff experience, grit, physicality, as Chris Fowler alluded to, a shot blocker. So I think for all these reasons, he's someone that is going to be beloved by Kraken fans.
Yeah, he'll be a fan favorite. His nickname is Turbo. He's an energy guy. He will check. He's got jam, like we were talking about earlier. He will probably lead the team in hits taken, and blocked shots. So if it involves paying the price, which they talk about a lot in hockey, he'll do it.
Vitek Vanacek.
Another goaltender.
Vitek Vanacek, another goaltender, this one coming from the Washington Capitals. Is there an obvious starter amongst the group so far when you're talking about a goaltender?
I think it's going to be 50-50, and that's the idea here. You could either pay the $10 million cap hit or so to get Carey Price, or with a much cheaper option, Vanacek and Drieger, and they've decided to go with option B. I think it's the right call for all the reasons that we covered earlier. And Vanacek is someone who, stepping into the Washington Capitals, a team that's won the Cup recently, there's a lot of focus on that position. They had Braden Holtby for a long time. Holtby leaves as a free agent. Vanacek was leaned on a lot. So he's seen a lot of very high-pressure, high-intensity games there playing for the Capitals. I think both Drieger and Vanacek, that's a solid goaltending tandem. They're not certainly not Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa Bay, but it gives the Kraken, I believe, at least an average goaltending situation, and maybe even a little better than that as they begin their inaugural year.
So they got two of them there. There's going to be one more goaltender, and Mike, you've called it the biggest position in sports.
It's certainly on the list. I mean, you can
more than a quarterback. Is it?
It's at probably that level, the ability to take over a game, and especially to take over a series when you see it once you get to the playoffs. You know, I don't know whether you consider goalie wins the same as starter wins in baseball, but this kid went 21-10-4 last year as a rookie. That's a pretty darn good winning percentage. Now, I know he was on a good team in Washington, and that certainly helps, but if you want to go 21-10, you can play for my team. So, yeah, I think Driedger's going to be the one who gets a lot of the press right off the bat. He'll get a little bit more money, but Vanacek has a clear path to get playing time, and because he's cheap, may end up being a trade candidate for them as well if there's another team out there that needs cheaper goaltending. So now we see all three goaltenders, Driedger, Vanacek, and we talked about Decord. You're probably going to start with Driedger and Vanacek and let them compete, but I really like what this team did, and I like it. All three of those guys together cost significantly less than Carey Price would have cost by himself.
Right, Mike. And I think the one thing I'll point out here, too, is just because the Golden Knights made the Cup final in year one does not mean that that's the normal expectation in this league in the first year of a franchise.
It's got to happen, John, or it's a failure.
Well, if they have a decent year, Bob, if they are in the race for a playoff berth, but then to Mike's point, if they trade a goaltender to a team that needs one who's competing for a cup and you get back a first-round pick in 2022, that's also a great outcome here. This is not just about going all in to win year one. It's about building a sustainable product. And that's why this is such a fascinating team to follow, guys, because it's a rebuilding team and a win-now team all at the same time. And we're not really going to know what it is until we're talking in January, February to really see how this team is playing and if they're in the race or not.
Let me ask John a quick question here before we hit the break, and that is you bring up draft picks. We see how they're immediately thrown into the fire often in the NFL, especially for your first, second, third rounder. There are expectations that come with them. Baseball, completely different. We may not see them for a few years, depending on what position and how they progress. How does that work in hockey? When you draft somebody in the first round, are they expected to come in that very same year and have an impact, or is it more along the lines of baseball where this is a process and it's going to take a bit?
It's a great question. I would actually say it's right in the middle. Typically, you only have a player or two from every draft in the summer that will sign immediately and go right to the NHL. Usually they're either in the minor leagues or in the Canadian Major Junior League or in the NCAA, and they have an additional year of seasoning while the team holds the rights. So with the Kraken selecting number 2 overall, Matty Beniers has been mentioned as a key guy they're looking at. I would expect, Bob, about an 80 to 90% chance if they draft Beniers, I'll be watching him here in Ann Arbor playing for the University of Michigan, so you guys did a good job of assigning me to help you with the Kraken coverage. I'll keep an eye on Matty for another year, and I'll call in with updates, and then you guys will probably see Matty after 1 or 2 more years.
There you go. That's the voice of our NHL analyst, Jon Morosi. You see him on NHL Network. Mike Salk, another analyst in here with us, and I'm just pointing people in the right direction as we continue right here with our NHL Expansion Draft Special on 710 ESPN Seattle.
710 ESPN Seattle welcomes you back to Seahawks Training Camp, July 28th. Hear player interviews live from Seahawks Training Camp every day.
We are joined by Bobby Wagner.
Tyler Lockett is our guest.
Russell Wilson just took my mic from me.
Get prepped for the action leading up to practices with Blue 42 at 8. Around the NFL at 9:15. 4 down territory at 12:15. And cold hard facts with John Clayton at 4.
Hey, that's great football now!
710 ESPN Seattle.
If you've had a problem with your home's foundation like I did, you know how important it is to get it fixed and get it fixed fast. Hey, it's Dave Wyman for R&R Foundation Specialist, and if your foundation begins to fail or sink, it'll create stress on the rest of your home as your house bends and twists. Settling foundations can be caused by the site not being prepped properly before pouring the foundation, or it could be from erosion of soil. Some of the warning signs: sloped floors or bowed or cracked walls. I had almost all of those things, so I had R&R come out for a free estimate, and now we have a plan of action. R&R Foundation Specialist will reposition the load of your home onto steel piers that they drive deep into the ground, and then they gently lift your home back into place. It's a totally permanent solution. If you suspect your foundation is settling or have any of these signs, get it checked out before more damage occurs. Have R&R Foundation specialists come out for free, and they'll identify the issue and resolve it. Find them at rrfoundationspecialist.com.
Well, summer's in full swing. There's no better place to go have some fun, enjoy great food, and unwind than Snoqualmie Casino. It's Mike Salk here. Live entertainment is back, and rock fans, great shows coming. Get your tickets while they last for Everclear, Queensryche, and Skid Row. Don't miss Chris Angel Raw, the Mind Freak Unplugged. Also, new outdoor dining options as well. Tickets and info available at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest, only 30 minutes from downtown Snoqualmie Casino.
It's a new day, and it's coming at you fast. It could be the day your workforce doubles, or the day your visitors quadruple. With Comcast Business, you'll have what you need to take on every twist and turn, like the flexibility to control multiple Wi-Fi networks from anywhere, and the power of the nation's largest gig speed network, the one that can deliver gig speeds to the most businesses. Every day in business is a big day. We'll keep you ready for what's next. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with a powerful and reliable internet and voice solution starting at $64.90 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go to comcastbusiness.com today to learn more. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits per second service and 1 voice line. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Wi-Fi Pro Extra.
Summer in the Northwest is the best. Hiking, biking, golfing, swimming, boating, fishing. The fun is endless. So stop letting foggy glasses and dirty contacts get in the way of any of it. Hey, it's Ryan Roland Smith, and since going to King LASIK, I enjoy everything more with perfect, clear, natural vision. My King LASIK procedure was pain-free, over in minutes, and I saw 20/20 the very next day. So free your summer and schedule a complimentary Zoom consultation at kinglasik.com.
Save $750 off this month. kinglasik.com.
Hi, it's Danny O'Neill. Let's go back to my first trip to Carter Volkswagen in Ballard. I was in my 20s, driving a little red truck, and had a girlfriend who was sick of putting her bag in the back. Well, my first day at Carter ended when I drove off with a certified pre-owned Passat. It had a 6-disc CD changer inside of an impressively large trunk. A lot has changed in the 20 years since then. I wound up marrying that lady, and right now, I'm driving a Volkswagen Jetta that has a Beats sound system that syncs with my phone. What hasn't changed? Carter's commitment to give you the best price they can right up front. It's a cornerstone of the Carter Advantage. And this month, that means a 2021 Volkswagen Jetta S is available for $1,200 off MSRP or 0% APR financing on approved credit. Or you can reserve your all-new ID4 electric vehicle. It is 100% SUV, 100% electric. Carter Volkswagen is celebrating 60 years right there in Ballard. Shop safely in-store or 24/7 online at cartervw.com. On approved credit through VW Credit plus tax, license, and documentary service fee.
Together with volunteers and supporters, your local American Cancer Society works to end pain and suffering from cancer here in the Puget Sound. When you join the events, you help patients and caregivers with treatment programs, life-saving research, medical studies, and vital one-on-one support and information. Cancer patients in our community are counting on you. Learn more about ways to get involved at cancer.org. That's the American Cancer Society at cancer.org.
In honor of its 100th anniversary, Home Street Bank is giving one lucky fan the chance to win $100,000. Go to www.100years100k.com to enter. That's www, the number 100, the word years, the number 100, and the letter K.com. If your name is drawn and a grand slam is hit by Seattle on the 100th pitch thrown by a Texas pitcher on August 18th, you'll win $100,000. For official rules and to enter, go to www.100years100k.com. Home Street Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Come on, let's go! Counting down to Seahawks training camp.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
7 days, taking you inside the Hawks playoff run right from the start on 710 KIRO AM Seattle, KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Kraken expansion draft snapshot.
The Seattle Kraken select Chris Driedger.
Driedger is someone who actually, you look at his performance this past year, in the regular season, his goals against average was actually better than Carey Price's.
It's a life-changing moment for me, for sure, to have my start here in Seattle and be a part of the Kraken is pretty incredible.
To introduce the Sabres pick, please welcome to the stage Coach Lenny Wilkins.
The Seattle Kraken select
Will Morgan.
From the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Seattle Kraken select Yanni Gourde.
This may very well end up being your number one center. As a do-it-all two-way centerman, guy who can play both offense and defense up the middle.
When you're the fifth leading scorer on a team that just won the Cup, and you can get that player in an expansion draft, this is a huge win for the Kraken, in my opinion.
The Seattle Kraken select Jordan Eberle.
This is the number one guy I wanted, Bob. He's a guy who can put the puck in the net, a right winger who will probably play on their first or second line. He finds a way to score, and I love that.
Walking out on stage in this new jersey out there.
To see the passion here, the fans, obviously very, very excited. You know, anytime you get that opportunity, you can bring a cup to a city that's never had it before. That's pretty special.
Snapshot, brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Washington chill.
This is the Kraken Draft Show, keeping you up to the minute with all 30 picks of the Kraken expansion draft. With Kraken insiders Jon Morosi and Mike Salk on 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
The first ever Kraken opponent here in Seattle with the building rocking will be the Vancouver Canucks.
There you go. That's going to be the opener, the Canucks. Going to have that rivalry brewing as the Kraken continue to unveil their roster with the expansion draft. Our coverage continues right here on 710 ESPN Seattle. Bob Stelton, Mike Salk, and Jon Morosi with you. What do you think of that? How quickly does that develop? I mean, in order to have a rivalry, you've got to be good. You can't have one team that's good and the other one stinks. That's a one-way thing. But if we're talking about a team, potentially a playoff level team in the Kraken, is that something, John, in your mind that gets going right away in terms of a rivalry developing?
Immediately. And it helps that we have, of course, seen MLS rivalries between the two cities back in the day, an NBA rivalry, and just the natural geographic rivalry on either side of the border. So I think it's going to be a fantastic rivalry. The Canucks have a very compelling young team as well. Actually, a lot of American players on the Canucks. So it's going to be a great international rivalry, and I love what the league is doing there to open up Climate Pledge Arena with a game between the Canucks and the Kraken.
Well, and I'm kind of surprised, John, that you didn't jump in and argue with Bob and say you can absolutely have a rivalry where one team is never good. How many games has Michigan lost now in a row to Ohio State?
Oh, boy.
Mike, this is a hockey show, my friend.
Oh,
I was told there would be no football.
Not on this exam.
No, but that's something that really fuels a fan base, as we've seen here in football with the 49ers and the Seahawks, and the Mariners still looking for their rival. I mean, when that was brewing here in Seattle, not to make this about football, but that really created such an electric presence out here. And if you could develop that to me, that really just speeds up the whole appeal of hockey to a new audience out there.
And with divisional play and the way the league is structured in the schedule, you're going to have a lot of games against the Canucks. And as we know in hockey, it only takes one fight between the enforcers on either team or one questionable hit that makes it into a major on-ice, off-ice story with a lot of bad blood. And like it or not, that side of the game is part of hockey, and it does provide a subtext and a subplot for a lot of the great rivalries in this sport, and I expect it's going to be the case. And you notice, and Mike referenced this, there is some sandpaper in this Kraken lineup. They, of course, just now recently announced the addition of Jamie Oleksiak. He is a physical defenseman. He plays a tough brand of hockey coming from Dallas, a team that has really relied a lot on their defense core. He is a tremendous defenseman. This is actually, Mike mentioned how excited he was about Eberle. For me, the Oleksiak pick is as exciting as any pick the Kraken have made from my perspective. I'm a huge Oleksiak fan, and he, of course, was playing in the Stanley Cup final last year, so recent playoff experience, really big frame, plays a physical style. Love that pick.
And he looks the part, Mike, because he came walking out on stage. He's bigger than everybody there, and he's missing one of his front teeth. So I think that just screams enforcer. Physical, sandpaper.
6'7", defensive presence, right? I was just doing some research on him today, saw a fight with him and Zdeno Chara, so willing to go after the biggest player in the league the last couple of years. I don't know how well he did in the fight, but at least he was willing to go after him and show some of that toughness.
Being a willing participant is big.
What John just said is absolutely right. Looking through this roster, the thing that stands out the most is that they're tough. This is a group of gritty players. I don't know how much they're going to score, and we're going to wait and find out what else they have in store for us over these next couple of weeks of the offseason and whether or not they can find some additional scoring. But, I mean, you mentioned Alexiak. We're going to talk more down the line here about Curtis McDermott, who is, as far as I can tell, the best fighter who's ever been in the NHL. He wins every single fight I saw online, and they were all caused by him hitting somebody cleanly. I love him. You talk about Brandon Tanev, who will lead the team in hits, and as we said, hits absorbed. One of my favorite phrases.
Is that an official stat?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And one of my favorite hockey phrases you'll hear from announcers is "takes the hit to move the puck." And it's something that you need to be willing to do. It's like going the other way in baseball, right? Or being willing to lay down and absorb a big hit in order to spring the running back in football. If you are able to take the hit to move the puck, it means you're able to look up, see where you're passing, and they allow the other guy to come plowing in on you. But if you're willing to take the hit to move the puck, you are going to have a lot of success in the NHL because you're willing to stand up to a lot of the physicality that other teams will bring. Based on what I'm seeing with just the roster, it looks like the Kraken are going to be really good at that part of the game.
And I would also mention, too, one name from the same division as additional picks come out, Carson Soucy, defenseman from the Minnesota Wild. Again, watch him. Physical style defensively. And when you talk about how much depth the Kraken have on the defensive side of things, that third pairing is going to be a very rugged one. And there's going to be a lot of competition to be able to just get on the ice as that third pairing. Of course, you only dress 6 defensemen in most cases. There are many more than 6 quality NHL defensemen on this roster tonight. And perhaps, Mike, to your point, as you look at free agency and the trade market to come, maybe Ron Francis and Jason Botterill use some of this depth to trade, whether it's packaging picks with a player to trade to get some more scoring. We could see that approach being taken here by the Kraken in the days and weeks to come.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I was just trying to lay out some line combinations earlier and just trying to figure out what they have. And they've got, I have 9 NHL defensemen on this team.
Yes.
9 guys on this team that are NHL quality defensemen. And as John said, you can only dress 6. Maybe you're keeping 7 at a time on your big club. So they have at least 2 extra defensemen who are NHL quality beyond what they are going to need. And I don't have more than 6, 8, 9, maybe 10 or 11 NHL caliber forwards and wingers. I mean, I don't, maybe 12. You're going to need 14 or so. So just kind of looking at where they're at, they've got some depth guys. They've got some minor leaguers or guys that may be able to find their way up to the team eventually. But I got to imagine that a few of these picks, we mentioned the kid in Carolina, Geeky. You know, there were other players who were rumored from Carolina, and Ron Francis obviously knew that organization well. I have to imagine that he received some sort of compensation for taking Geeky instead of, what's the kid's name, Jake?
Jake Bean.
Jake Bean, who everybody mocked coming to Seattle in their mock drafts. So, you know, this isn't done yet just because
That's the
you're
side
looking
deal
at this
you're talking
roster.
about there.
Yeah, like, well, if he took this kid Geeky, who I don't know whether he makes this team or not, was there a reason why he didn't take somebody off the roster that he knew best of all the 30 teams he was choosing from?
It's a great point, Mike and Bob, on that. And one thing I'll add as well, and it speaks to the future-looking aspect of this team. You know, this is a big night for the Kraken. Friday's a huge night, too. And the Kraken had the 2nd overall pick. We mentioned Matty Beniers earlier. And when you are collecting depth and putting together a farm club and building organizational depth, that draft on Friday is a huge opportunity to build in players who are going to be part of your future. And one thing the Kraken has been able to do, as well as any other team in the last couple of years, is scout amateurs. And I've mentioned the name of Jason Botterill a couple different times. Jason Botterill is a very good executive. He was the assistant GM of the Penguins when they were winning cups. He was the GM of Buffalo briefly. The fact that things didn't go well there is not his fault. That's been a team in turmoil for a while. And one of the most important hires the Kraken made was bringing Jason in. He is a tremendous hockey person. Cami Granato, we already heard her during the course of the night. There's not a bigger name in American hockey than Granato, and we know everything she has done at the Olympic level and as an ambassador for the game. So Ron Francis has a great team, and trust me, they have been looking at amateur players everywhere, and they are as prepared for Friday as any other team in the league. And I really think trusting Jason, trusting Cami, trusting the front office is a key part of why they might be having some future considerations be draft picks on Friday night.
How many rounds in the draft?
7.
7 rounds. Just back to something you said earlier, John, and you both said it. Just talking about what looks to be a very physical roster to this point. Very, very, very. Before we get to that question, let's send it out. Marshawn Lynch will make the next pick.
Very special, iconic Seattle guest.
Listen, I got to go to the source. I got to go to the original. That is beast mode yourself. So take us through what you think the Kraken have to do to hit a beast mode level from the start of the season.
Oh, man, that's going to be realistically, I just believe that since, it's really a real physical sport, I think they just got to go out there and put a real physical presence, you feel me, though, early and often. And, I mean, that just to show them, like, the Seattle style of play.
Yep.
And I think they be all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel you. All right. Hey, listen, that makes perfect sense to me, and I'm sure it does to you great fans at home, too. With that being said, the Seattle Kraken select from the Nashville Predators. Marshawn, take it away.
You see, so with this the first pick, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the first pick, we're going with the boy Cali, though. You know what I'm talking about?
Yup, Cali Yarncrow.
Cali Yarncrow.
You just heard it. Cali Yarncrow to the Kraken from beast mode himself. Thank you so much as always. Appreciate you.
Hey, and look, Cali, if I didn't pronounce it right, tap in with me and let me know how to do it the right way, big dog.
You heard it from him.
Straight up.
You heard it from him directly. Fellas.
There you go. That was the most Marshawn moment ever, right there.
I love that.
He's got it in his back pocket, and he's like, "Oh yeah, here we go. Let me take a look."
He wasn't even going after that name. No chance he was going after Yarncroke. No way.
Well, Yarncroke, I'll say this. I think what Marshawn was going to say next is that Yarncroke is known for his ability to play up and down the lineup. He can play center, he can play wing. Very versatile player for Nashville. I have really enjoyed watching his game evolve, and he is someone who I really think, Bob and Mike, with additional minutes and additional power play time, Cali Yarncroke could be one of the breakout stars in year one for the Kraken.
It was a good pick.
Let me get back to the question, though, because he may be
Was it
involved
about Marshawn's weight?
Well, no, that seems to be going well. But it just as far as the physicality, you talked about this roster, and it looks like it's going to be a very physical group of guys. Just in terms of the game of hockey, we're so used to watching football and how they've sort of legislated out a lot of what made it appealing, the physicality of the sport, the hits and everything. Is hockey on that same level? Have they done anything in the way of the rules or anything like that has changed the sport? And before you answer, let's send it out to a guy who knows how to hit, Bobby Wagner, making the next pick.
There you go. Speaking of physical presence, the pick you announced better be a tough, nasty dude.
I hope so. I'm glad it's an easy name.
You don't want Marshawn's name?
Yeah, I saw Marshawn's name. That was a good try.
I think you got this one.
I hope so.
Ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. They're ready.
All right. From the St. Louis Blues, the Seattle select Vince Dunn.
Oh, they gave him an easy one.
Vince Dunn, if you're looking for a player.
Vince Dunn from the St. Louis Blues, announced by Bobby Wagner out there on stage. That was classic, referencing Marshawn and the name that he had to answer, or announce. But just in terms of the way the game is called, if you will, and again, I'm making reference to the NFL. Has anything changed in hockey in terms of what's allowed and what they're legislating in the sport?
Yes, I'll give a quick version of it. When the league came out of the lockout in 2005, one of the major things was we want more speed in the game, less obstruction. And the result was that the players now on the ice move faster than ever because there's less clutching and grabbing in the neutral zone. So as a result, we said, whoa, all of a sudden there are faster-paced collisions. It's like at times you're almost watching one punt return after another with a lot of high-speed collisions because the players are not slowed down as much in the middle part of the ice. So as time has gone on, the NHL has done a very good job, I think, of having additional, you hear supplemental discipline when there are head hits or hits targeting the head, and they're basically now putting the onus on the players. Hey, you know what a responsible play is. You know what a fair check is and what is interference or a nasty, dirty hit that jeopardizes the health of someone on the other team. So we're seeing more suspensions. There was one, I think it was a really key flashpoint in the playoffs this year, a hit by Mark Scheifele of Winnipeg against Jake Evans of Montreal that knocked Evans out with a concussion, and Scheifele was basically suspended for the balance of the series. That would not have been as strict of a punishment in years past. We're seeing the league take a different approach, and I think now, Bob and Mike, we'll see if it even further looks at cross-checking, boarding, some of the more egregious calls that really jeopardize health going forward.
Yeah, like all sports, it's not as cool as it used to be.
So
I don't know how
you
else
don't think
to
it's
say it.
improved it?
Oh, I mean, there's a trade-off. John's right. You knew that there was someone bigger and stronger and probably better at fighting who was going to come looking for you. So that caused you to think twice before you unloaded on somebody. With a lot of the legislating that stuff out of the game, hockey's not in a bad spot, but I'll admit I miss it the way it used to be, the same way I miss the NFL when Cam Chancellor was doing his thing, which most of the time would be fine today.
What's it done to scoring? Has it increased it, decreased it? Has it? You talked about the pace, John, that now,
right.
and you, Mike, talking about now we see the athleticism and the pace picked up. That, to me, from the outside, sounds appealing. Seeing that athleticism, seeing the speed of the game going. But what's it done to scoring?
Well, I think overall the scoring is certainly up since the lockout, and that's the key thing. It's a better product. It's a more exciting product. And to Mike's point, I think one hit that you don't see as much is the open ice hit when the player is not playing the puck. You'll hear a lot about interference and was it a legal hit. There are a couple components of it. Number one, was the person in possession of the puck or going to play the puck, in which case he is more fair game than if he's away from the puck. And is the first point of contact the body and the torso, or is it the head? And that's where I think that what you still will see major hits. You'll see major hits this coming season, but largely they've done a pretty good job, I think, of channeling those hits to the body. And when the player has the puck or is playing the puck, that is when you will see a legal big hit.
You know, John, it's so funny the way leagues need to evolve based on how smart organizations find ways to bend the rules to win. In baseball, we're seeing it now with the conversations around the shift and all of these things that, you know, the sabermetricians have figured out that make them better at winning but make the game harder to watch. In hockey, it was what the New Jersey Devils did in the 90s and early 2000s with the trap, which sucked all of the life out of hockey. It almost destroyed the sport. It was so boring to watch these guys.
Explain what it is.
I can't. You don't care. It just, all you need to know is it was such a good defensive system.
So it slowed everything down.
It involved trapping guys at the blue line before they came into the zone.
So
it doesn't matter.
Scoring,
it slowed down everything.
Okay.
It made the game a drag to watch.
It was Pat Riley back with Mike Fratello.
It was that, but honestly, it was worse than that. And they won, and they were super successful doing it, but it made a lot of longtime hockey fans say, I'm out. I don't want to watch this. And then they had the lockout, and that lost even more fans. So when they came back, they needed to legislate the trap out of the game. And I think they did a pretty effective job of doing that. They allowed the two-line pass. They came up with some of the obstruction holding calls. They did some things to allow the game to breathe a little bit. And while the NHL and its commissioner gets a lot of grief, much of it deserved, to me it's the smartest thing they've done in my lifetime is finding a way to open the game back up again. And they did a really stellar job. I hope baseball can be as successful in trying to bring some of the action back to that great sport.
A couple of things, Mike, that I'll say about what you just mentioned, and everything you said I agree with in terms of how they changed the game. One of the cool things about hockey is that when you become a fan of the sport, you often start wanting to play the sport. And so one of the cool things I'm really excited to see in Seattle is the recreational leagues for men, for women, for kids they're going to be coming up and growing. It's a fun sport to play yourself and then watch the game at night. It's a fun sport, and one of the things that Don Lucia, who is now the commissioner of the CCHA, college league here in the Midwest, he had a great line recently that I heard him say, which was, hockey is the rare sport that is fun to practice. Hockey practice is fun. Skating is fun. Being on the ice is fun. And one of the other things that I always love, and it's everybody will find a subtle thing they love about being at the rink. My favorite thing is warm-ups. Hockey warm-ups are fun to watch. When the building is filling up, the music is pumping, you get to watch the players on the ice doing their unique skill sets that they're practicing for the game. It is a fun, anticipatory moment, and I just cannot wait, October 23rd, Climate Pledge Arena, to see Vancouver and Seattle playing. Those moments of anticipation, guys, at a hockey building are so much fun.
Hey, one last thing on the physicality and everything, the way it's evolved. Has it changed the way teams have drafted? Has it changed the way the players they've sought out? Maybe back in the day when you talked about, where it was really a lot of clutching and grabbing, we wanted bigger, slower guys. Now we've got more athletic guys. Has that changed the way teams have approached the draft?
Yes, it has, and what it's done, I think it's, again, for the better. You're seeing skilled players who sometimes come from U.S. colleges have more of a place. Case in point, Cole Caulfield, the playoffs this year. He just stepped off of campus, University of Wisconsin, and he was playing a key role for the Montreal Canadiens in a playoff run that ended in the Stanley Cup final. That whole story does not happen 10 years ago. Cole Caulfield, the skill, it is such a skill-fast game where if you're raised to be able to play that skilled game growing up, and even Quinn Hughes, you'll see him playing a lot, of course, for the Vancouver Canucks. Quinn Hughes is 5'11", 6 feet, and he is a brilliant, beautiful skating defenseman, and he might be on the U.S. Olympic team in a year. He's that good, and he is someone who back in the day you would have seen, defensemen have to be 6'4", 6'5". Quinn's not, but he is still elite because he can skate and pass and move the puck.
So while we were listening to Bobby Wagner, he announced one of the, there were two big question marks, probably more than any other, coming into this for the Kraken. Would they take Carey Price to be their goalie, and would they go after Vladimir Tarasenko, who is a really big-time scorer in St. Louis? And you heard him announce Vince Dunn, their pick, a young defenseman from St. Louis. So they decide not to go with the premier goal scorer who was available in Tarasenko. What do you make of it, John, the decision to go with Dunn, who's a pretty good player in his own right? I don't mean to take a shot at him, but he doesn't have the upside of Tarasenko.
No, Tarasenko would have been the riskier pick. I think that you're right. This, to me, is a much more defining selection than the Price selection. I think the Price, not picking Price and going with Drieger and Vanacek, I think was an easier selection than what we just saw here with the Blues, because Tarasenko would have represented at the high end a more talented offensive player than anybody on this roster right now. Tarasenko would have given you something that you manifestly do not have elsewhere on this team. But Tarasenko is not happy right now with his situation in St. Louis. He's got a shoulder issue that's been a problem, and he's an expensive player. So if you're willing to take on that risk of injury, older player, not happy, larger cap hit, you take Tarasenko. Dunn is someone who I've always liked and is a really good puck-moving defenseman. Again, we use that term again, who is, I think, going to be in the top four. I believe the top four defensemen for this team, Dunn, Giordano, Larson, Alexiak. That's a really good group, and I think Dunn fits nicely into that group. He just wasn't playing the minutes in St. Louis because they've got guys like Falk and Torrey Krug and Colton Parayko. I think Dunn has a chance to be a key guy on the power play for the Kraken here this season.
Big name being announced for the Kraken here. We're going to come back to that as our NHL expansion draft special continues. We'll come back with maybe one of the biggest picks so far today. Get your take on that with Jon Morosi, Mike Salk, Bob Stelton with you on 710 ESPN Seattle.
710 ESPN Seattle welcomes you back to Seahawks Training Camp, July 28th. Hear player interviews live from Seahawks Training Camp every day.
We are joined by Bobby Wagner.
Tyler Lockett is our guest. Russell Wilson just took my mic from me.
Get prepped for the action leading up to practices with Blue 42 at 8. Around the NFL at 9:15. 4 Down Territory at 12:15. And Cold Hard Facts with John Clayton at 4.
Hey, that's great football now!
710 ESPN Seattle.
Let's set the lighting up for this next shot.
Don't look now, but that's one ugly dog over there.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Vern, I think we're going to need a bigger lamp.
For every lighting challenge, from custom lamps to commercial lighting, there are lighting stores. Then there's the place where they shop. Pacific Lamp and Supply, shedding light on your solution for over 100 years. PacificLamp.com. With the right lighting, that dog pretties up nice.
Isn't she the most?
Wait a minute, I think she heard me.
I'm Tom Fitkin, owner of Oswego Mortgage. We are the original VA loan specialists. What does this mean for you? It means we've been doing VA loans for 20 plus years. It's 95% of our business. The VA loan is 0 down payment, and we can structure your loan to allow 0 cash out of pocket. Regardless if you've used your VA home loan benefit in the past, you can use it again today. It's a lifetime benefit. Our experienced team is here to help you, and that's the Oswego Mortgage difference.
Go to OswegoMortgage.com. OswegoMortgage.com. NMLS number 233782.
If you're ready to create a unique engagement ring that captures your love story, visit Shane Company. Our jewelry consultants will respect your budget and show you all the possibilities for your engagement ring within your price range. Our ring settings are beautiful, designed by us and made with uncompromising standards. We have the largest selection of natural diamonds in all the traditional shapes, as well as a deep selection of the trending shapes, including oval, radiant, cushion, and pear. For a unique look, get a colorful gemstone for the center stone. We have sapphires in over a dozen colors, and red rubies, as well as peach morganite and stunning aquamarine. Create your ring today. Drop by or book an in-store or virtual appointment in advance. Make it the summer of love. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's Ultimate Unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required? See straighttalk.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Catch What If Wednesdays on Wyman and Bob, sponsored by the caring and compassionate team at Hardwick and Pendergast Personal Injury Attorneys.
Ants and wasps have finally come out to play. Issaquah Pest Control offers fast, kind, and professional pest control service for your home or business. New customers can save $50 when you mention 710 ESPN Seattle. As the weather starts to warm up, insects start to wake up. Don't let the bugs bug you like I do to Salk. Call or text Issaquah Pest Control at 425-230-6236 for $50 off. That's 425-230-6236, or visit us at issaquahpest.com. Issaquah Pest Control, the one with the fire truck.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here with a tip for all you homeowners for when that emergency plumbing or sewer issue undoubtedly happens, right? Put this number in your phone right now, 206-552-3560. That's the number for Jeffco Plumbing and Sewer, 206-552-3560. They'll have a crew out to your house right away, day or night. They'll fix the problem in a timely manner. They'll give you a quote, fair price, do the work, any and all plumbing and sewer fixes. The answer is Jeffco Plumbing and Sewer, 206-552-3560 or JeffcoCompany.com.
Welcome to Seattle, the Jet City. We're just south of downtown. We put big planes in the sky. And just up the road, you can watch small objects fly.
Get it here! Two-run overtime, Murphy!
Scott Services Soto Squad is taking off with daily flights to right, left, center, and...
This one is gone way back into the upper deck!
The Mariners got a lineup packed with power that's racking up frequent flyer miles around the base paths.
A three-run homer for Evan White!
So make sure your seatbelts are fastened, because these guys are ready to take off.
Goodbye, baseball! Kyle Lewis!
Mariners baseball. See us rise.
J.P. Crawford, Kyle Seager, and the Mariners return to T-Mobile Park tomorrow to open a 7-game AL West homestand. Action kicks off with a weekend series against the A's that includes Mariners Retro Jersey Night Saturday. Then the Astros come to town for 3 starting Monday and wrapping with a special 12:40 midweek matinee Wednesday. Score your tickets today at mariners.com.
You're listening to the Kraken Draft Show.
Live from the Alaska Airlines studio.
On 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
The Seattle Kraken select from the Calgary Flames, Sandia.
Mark Giordano.
There you go, 37-year-old from the Flames. He's a captain on a one-year deal worth $6.75 million left on that deal, signed as an undrafted free agent with the Flames back in the 2004-2005 season. And Mike, we were talking during the break, and John, want to get your take on this as well, but Giordano, necessary. I mean, he's a guy who was a captain in his former spot, he's the presumptive captain here. I mean, he provides everything. We talked about the importance of a captain in the NHL versus any other sport and what they bring to the table. You feel like this was the smart move?
Oh, this was probably the easiest decision that Ron Francis had to make in this period. I mean, the fact that there was a guy with his level of both ability and what's the right word for it? I mean, just presence and what he brings to not just their on-ice component, but the dressing room. And by the way, that's another fun thing. Oh, he's got plenty of that. One of the fun things about hockey is it's not the locker room, it's not the clubhouse, it's the room or the dressing room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love that. Oh. He's good in the room is a good hockey
You get corrected
phrase.
if you call it the locker room?
No, but it's the dressing room or the room. And Giordano, John, I know how much you like him and his story. What a fantastic early representative here for the Kraken. And oh, by the way, if you don't end up being as good as you want to be in your first year, he's going to be worth quite a bit in the trade market at midseason.
There's a great quote, Mike, and I agree with what you said there. This is from an NHL.com story several years ago, and I'm going to read you this quote from a teammate. Joe Colborne said this about Mark Giordano, quote, "His work ethic is the backbone of this team. You see him on the back check and playing so hard and playing hard minutes. His work ethic in the weight room, the way he prepares for every game, he is the ultimate pro, something that all of us younger guys coming into the league have been able to look up to and try to model ourselves after as much as we can. He is such a leader on this team for that reason." That's Joe Colborne, a teammate on the Flames several years ago. And that, in essence, is why the Kraken have picked him. And that, in essence, is why I expect and Mike expects him to be the captain of this team. And interestingly, he is the first winner of the Norris Trophy, given to the best defenseman in the NHL. He is the first winner of the Norris Trophy ever selected in any expansion draft, according to the NHL, which tells you, again, how unique of a pick this is. This is a guiding person to have on your club. And I read his quote, Chris Johnston, my colleague, my friend from Sportsnet in Canada, tweeting that Mark had said it's a unique day for him because it's the first time he's ever been drafted. As Mike pointed out, he had never been drafted by an NHL team. He signed with the Flames after playing 2 years of junior hockey with the Owen Sound Attack in the OHL. And so is he getting up there in years? Of course he is. But we have seen defensemen who are so smart, and Mark Giordano is so smart, able to play at a high level late into their career. And I think that's going to be what Mark Giordano does here for the Seattle Kraken in year one.
He's 37 years old, as we said, and I know injuries are unique to everybody, and that's going to dictate a lot. But compared to other sports, what's considered old in hockey? Is it dependent upon your position?
Very much position dependent. I mean, what did Gordie Howe play
40s?
until he was 50-something? I mean, like, it's rare, but you can see some decent players into their 40s, probably akin to baseball, where you get the Nelson Cruzes and guys who make it into their 40s. And
but are there positions that lend themselves to longevity?
Defense, it's a lot easier to do so.
Defense is more likely to see it than a forward. And I mean, there are those unique cases. Chris Chelios played until he was 45. Nick Lidstrom played until he was around his early 40s and probably could have played longer if he wanted to.
What is Yager, like 74?
Well,
I think he
that's
is now.
important. And he's a wing. So those are right. Those are the unique guys. And Giordano has had injuries. It really is. It's a little bit of luck there. And again, it's almost like saying Tom Brady's unique playing quarterback at the age that he is at, but luck and other elements fit into that as well. And also, it's interesting. This is a very physical and violent sport, but there is also an awareness and a certain code. Like in the NFL, you're not going to be taking liberties against Tom Brady. And there are players who have achieved a certain level of respect where no one was going to run and take a cheap shot on Chris Chelios. Giordano has really earned a lot of respect in the same way that I think you're not going to see guys taking cheap shots at Mark Giordano.
Is that an unwritten rule of hockey?
There's definitely a lot of unwritten. There's a lot of code. I mean,
code.
You'll see it especially with some of the fights, and one of the picks that got made there is McDermott, who I think will be the fighter enforcer on this team. And, once you've knocked a guy to the ground, you don't keep punching him. That's part of the code.
And,
if the guy doesn't drop the gloves, you don't punch him, before he's ready to be punched. There is a lot of code that goes into playing hockey. And, yeah, I think a guy like Giordano will help a young team and a new team kind of figure some of that out and understand how to play the game the right way. What I like about this pick is that even if they deal him in year one, he will still be a successful pick for them. Having an early ambassador, having somebody that like Joel Englund was for Vegas a couple of years ago, somebody who can really galvanize the group at the beginning even if he only plays here a year or if he signs a short deal and plays just a couple more seasons here, he will leave an impact even if it is not a long legacy.
Is he the presumptive face of the franchise to begin with, or does that become their first pick, who will be the second overall pick in the draft?
That's a great question.
Who's the face?
I think right now it probably is Mark Giordano. There is not a superstar in the way that Marc-Andre Fleury is probably a Hall of Famer, and he was part of the Vegas Golden Knights inaugural expansion draft class, and he was instantly the face of the franchise. I think Giordano can be. He was the winner of the Marc Messier Leadership Award last year because, again, of his philanthropy, what he means to the sport. So he is a respected, really venerable person in this sport. I mean, they're bringing in somebody who has the universal acclaim of really the entire industry. So it gives them credibility. It gives them standing. It gives them a lot of cred, I think, as a team to have someone of his stature part of it. And so I think he is close to being the face, but I think the way this team has been arranged, one thing that we've learned, I think, and you both know this from a standpoint of doing radio and the excitement that players or that fans have for certain players, the future guys can in some ways be the face of the franchise. If you talk about the Mariners, it might be Jared Kelenic who's the face of the franchise in some respects. So therefore, the player they select second on Friday night becomes maybe the future face that fans in Seattle are going to be watching their junior or college box scores this year to see how that player is doing. I think it's a nice way of maybe for the Kraken leveling out the responsibility, where there's not that one person everybody's gravitating toward. It's the brand, it's the logo, it's a handful of players here, the future players coming there. It's Ron Francis, it's Dave Haxtell. I think that mantle is being shared by people, which I think really is probably a pretty good way to go about things here in year one.
So how good is this team, right? I mean, that's ultimately the question that we got to try to figure out. We don't know the answer to it yet because we have not found out all of the side deals that were made. We don't know what other deals Ron Francis has made in part of tonight in terms of bringing back other draft picks or other players in exchange for taking some of the players he did or not taking some of the players that he did not. We don't know what else they're going to do in free agency. We know that they have 30 of their $80 million approximately left over in terms of cap space. That is a lot of money to go spend and spend wisely here in free agency. So we don't know the answer to this question yet, but I'll give you my opinion right off the bat. You have a feisty team that's going to play some really good defense that was built from the back end forward, but is going to really struggle to score at the beginning. They're going to have a lot of ability to hit. They're going to play with a lot of energy. But I think just based on what we see on paper today, I don't think they put the puck in the net nearly enough. But as we just said, they may very well have the assets to go get that level of scoring.
This team is good enough to make the playoffs, I believe. Once they make their UFA additions and unrestricted free agency next week, this is a team that can credibly arrive to game one and say we have a chance to make the playoffs in the first year of the franchise. Do I expect them to be better than Vegas circa 2018? No. I don't think they'll be better than Vegas in 2022, which is also pretty important because they're in the same division, and Vegas has a really good team. I mean, Vegas, I just watched this team play a series. They played what I would say I didn't say they didn't play a poor series against Montreal, but they weren't very good, and they were still one of the best four teams in the sport. They're a really good team. Vegas enters this next season as clearly the favorite to win the Pacific, but the second, third, fourth place teams, I would say pay close attention to the three, so those are the three probably Canadian teams, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. All are very good in their own ways, but they all have flaws. I mean, if you're going to tell me that Seattle could finish second in this division, I think that's a very possible outcome. If they finish fifth, also possible and out of the playoffs. But they're in that range. They are in a range where if enough things go right, this is a possible playoff team and even possibly a good playoff team. This is a team that can have home ice advantage in round one of a playoff series if they make the right moves and they have a good bit of health and good luck on their side this season.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Think about your answer during the break. We'll get it on the other side. But was there a player that was available that you both thought, oh, that's a no-brainer, they're going to take this guy, that they did not? A head-scratching move, perhaps, a player that was available they did not take. We'll talk about that when we come back as our NHL Expansion Draft Special continues right here on 710 ESPN Seattle.
710 ESPN Seattle welcomes you back to Seahawks Training Camp, July 28th. Hear player interviews live from Seahawks Training Camp every day.
We are joined by Bobby Wagner.
Tyler Lockett is our guest. Russell Wilson just took my mic from me.
Get prepped for the action leading up to practices with Blue 42 at 8. Around the NFL at 9:15. 4 Down Territory at 12:15. And Cold Hard Facts with John Clayton at 4.
Hey, that's great football now! 710 ESPN Seattle.
Tingling and numbness or burning pains in the feet or hands are warning signs of peripheral neuropathy. For years, Sound Pain Solutions has helped thousands using our innovative narcotic-free approach. Now we're excited to introduce our most powerful treatment yet. I'm Dr. Patty Mullen, a naturopathic physician at Sound Pain Solutions. We've discovered a new bioelectrical treatment that produces remarkable results. Studies show 85% of neuropathy sufferers report a 50% reduction in pain. Our new therapy can reduce pain, increase circulation, and regenerate damaged nerves. This is a breakthrough for those suffering from neuropathy. Our treatment is performed by medical providers and is even covered by most insurance. At Sound Pain Solutions, all our therapies are non-surgical, FDA cleared, and narcotic-free. Learn if you qualify for our new neuropathy treatment. Schedule your free consultation at soundpainsolutions.com. That's soundpainsolutions.com.
You know us. We're the heating and air conditioning company with a big colorful logo and the recognizable trucks you see all over the Puget Sound. You know us as the company that believes in the good we're doing and the impact home comfort has on your personal happiness. In its third generation, our family-owned business has been improving the lives of our customers every day since 1957. It's one reason we're the biggest and best home comfort company in the Northwest. Choose Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. You'll be glad you did.
The Marysville Police Department is now seeking diverse candidates who embrace their values of accountability, courage, leadership, integrity, and professionalism. The fastest growing city in the state is looking for lateral and entry-level officers to make a positive impact in their community. They'll have a brand new station and jail, new equipment, a supportive community, competitive wages, and improved quality of life. Apply now at marysvillewa.gov and select job opportunities or call 360-363-8349.
Be on hand for a homestand with AL West competition as J.P. Crawford, Mitch Haniger, and the Mariners square off against the Oakland A's and Houston Astros. Action kicks off Thursday, July 22nd, when the A's arrive for a 4-game weekend set, highlighted by a Mariners retro jersey giveaway for the first 10,000 fans, Saturday the 24th. That Monday, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and the Astros come to town for 3 games, ending with a 12:40 midweek matinee on the 28th. For tickets to these AL West showdowns, see mariners.com.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Washington Army National Guard, aired by the Washington State Association of Broadcasters and this station.
After 15 months of cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you deserve a break. You deserve to be served. You deserve to have a little parsley garnish on the side of the plate. And at Muckleshoot Casino, there is a new menu at Muckleshoot Restaurant. And it sounds good. Crab mac and cheese, yum. Stuffed French toast, go on. And a very sophisticated sounding strawberry champagne salad. And of course, they have classics like grilled cedar plank salmon, steaks, and comfort foods like fettuccine Alfredo. Check it out at muckleshootcasino.com. Muckleshoot Casino in Auburn, the biggest and best in the Northwest.
Get the most on the Mariners with 710 ESPN Seattle all season long. Stream every Mariners game on your smart speaker. Just say play 710 ESPN Seattle.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and for a limited time at Blue Flame Heating and Air, get 18 months, no interest financing, or a free UV light with the purchase of any furnace or AC unit. Call Blue Flame Heating and Air. Mike and his team will take great care of you, so check them out at blueflamecomfort.com. See blueflamecomfort.com. Subject to credit approval, purchase and installation required. Valid at participating locations. Based on availability while supplies last. See blueflamecomfort.com for complete details.
Hey, Brock Ewart here for my friends over at Xfinity. Summer is in full swing, and so is the latest from baseball, golf, soccer, and football right around the corner. In fact, my little guy and I had a chance to go to the All-Star game, and what a blast it was. The only problem, now he has more teams and more players to follow. The solution, Xfinity. So easy to stream all the games you want with the fastest internet and experience a powerful and secure Wi-Fi connection. How? Well, get that powerful and secure connection with Xfinity XFi for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement. Simply go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or go visit your local Xfinity store today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/30/21. New Performance Starter Plus customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. XFi Advanced Security is available to Xfinity Internet customers with a compatible Xfinity XFi gateway. Don't wait a second longer. Make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
Homeowners, did you know every foundation repair in Washington State requires a permit? So if you're seeing uneven floors, cracks in your walls, or windows and doors that jam, trust Matvey Foundation Repair. Matvey's licensed and insured experts can walk you through the permit process from start to finish. Matvey Foundation Repair offers cost-effective solutions that can mitigate expensive repairs down the road, and their work is backed by a 25-year warranty. For your free evaluation, call 844-9-MATVEY or matveyfoundationrepair.com.
You're listening to the Kraken Draft Show.
Live from the Alaska Airlines studio.
On 710 ESPN Seattle, the voice of Seattle sports.
The Seattle Kraken select from the San Jose Sharks,
Alexander True.
There you go. The roster has been put together as far as the expansion draft goes. We continue here with our NHL expansion draft special on 710 ESPN Seattle. Bob Stelton, Mike Salk, Jon Morosi with you. And guys, we talked about this in the beginning. A lot of this had leaked out before we ever hit the air. And looking at some of the names, the assumption was, well, there are a lot of side deals. There are a lot of deals that have probably been put in place here. John, at this point, though, we're not going to hear, at least tonight, we're not going to hear about any of those deals. Does that mean they haven't struck a deal, or they're just not announcing them tonight?
According to what we can ascertain right now, Bob and Mike, there have been no trades reached as a condition of the picks that were made tonight by the Kraken. That's the latest information that we've got right now. No trades were part of this draft, were part of the picks. There is, by the way, a roster freeze league-wide that lifts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. So by tomorrow afternoon, we could be hearing, or late morning your time, we could be hearing of deals across the game that are happening and signings as well. So stay tuned there. And along those lines, a very good note from Jonathan Willis of The Athletic, who points out the Seattle Kraken drafted 8 left-shot defensemen. Now, typically you would have a balance of left and right. They have 8 left-shot defensemen, which tells you that more deals are probably coming. Defensemen are right now coveted around the industry, especially in free agency, and cheap ones are really valuable. And so the Kraken, I think very wisely here, Ron Francis, Jason Botterill have collected a lot of left-shot defensemen. I would expect tomorrow GMs who need a defenseman will call and say, hey, I want one of your left-shot D right now, to avoid having to worry about going out in the marketplace a week from now and paying the free agent prices. So I would say keep the hot stove going for the Kraken tomorrow. And one other point I want to make sure I get in here, Chris Johnston, again, I referenced from Sportsnet, Brad Treliving, the Flames GM, who now has lost his captain, Mark Giordano, here to the Kraken. An incredible quote here. Brad Treliving says, Mark Giordano, quote, has been the moral compass of this team for a long time, end quote, adding that it now closes an important chapter for the Calgary Flames franchise. That tells you the person the Kraken are getting now in Mark Giordano.
Mike, give me your thought. I asked a question right going into the break. Of all the names that were made available before this started, as hockey fans, you and John looked at it, there had to be names you looked at and said, oh, man, that's an obvious. You have to go with this guy. Was there one of those that is still sitting there where you went, how did they not go with this guy?
Yeah, let me give you that answer, and I'll also, just to follow up on what John just said, Pierre LeBrun, who is as connected as anybody in the hockey world, just tweeted a moment ago, any trade Seattle may have in the hopper will be finalized and announced after the trade freeze is lifted at 1 p.m. on Thursday. So just as John said, and I suspect he says there will be a few over the coming days. Yes, I think that seems like a fairly safe bet. Is there any one player? There's a few. There are a couple surprises for me, and I think that's when we'll start to see some of it play its way out through the trades. But the two biggest were James Van Riemsdyk, who is a pretty well-known player, has been a top-line scorer, playoff experience for the Flyers over the years, and the fact that he was available and that they went with a guy that is unlikely to make this team, that to me was a bit of a surprise. I thought he would have been a very solidifying figure on a top line for them, so that's one. But really the big one for me is Tarasenko. If I'm a new hockey fan, and I'm living in Seattle, and I've not really experienced this sport before, and I want to get excited about one of the best goal-scoring, most creative players in the game, yes, there's risk. Yes, there's a lot of money. Yes, there's an injury, a shoulder injury, and okay, I'd be willing to suck that up because I think that his ability to put the puck in the net and be creative with it would have absolutely balanced off some of those concerns. So we'll wait and see what happens. Maybe there's something that happens with him here still, but of all the things, those are probably the two guys that stood out for me.
What do you think, John?
I would agree, Mike, on those two names, and also add another Flyer in Jakub Voracek. I've always been a big Voracek fan, and he's, from a standpoint of skill and creativity, he may have been a little Tarasenko light. I think he would have had maybe a little bit less risk, a little bit less cap hit, but a really entertaining player at his best. So I would say Voracek, for the same reasons that you mentioned, with Voracek and JVR both with Philly to get Twarynski as the Flyers representative, I agree, is a little curious. But again, maybe there was a deal that is not yet happening that is going to be announced sometime tomorrow. But that was the one team where I thought that maybe you could have gotten that recognizable winger. And again, this is the Kraken are borrowing in this respect a page from the Vegas playbook, which is hope that one of these players becomes the next Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Riley Smith, or an Alex Tuck, who didn't have the opportunity with his current club, but now with better ice time and more chances really shines. They're hoping that Eberle is that guy. They're hoping that Gord is that guy, that Jarnkrok with more opportunity on the PP and the penalty kill gets to have that opportunity. Mason Appleton, a big name there with Winnipeg, is someone that I think has a chance to really, score some goals for this team. And I would also mention Colin Blackwell. He's someone that in New York was kind of getting lost in the shuffle. They've brought in a lot of high-end forwards in recent years. Blackwell, I think, finished the year well with Team USA at the World Championships. I think he's got a lot of momentum now carrying into this fall with the Kraken.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to wrap it up by asking you guys on the other side. Player they selected you are most excited about. You said, man, what a win. What a win getting this guy.
I can't limit this to one, honestly. There's 3 or 4 players that I am 100% jazzed about. I said I wanted Jordan Eberle above everybody else. I think he's just a really solid goal scorer. In watching him, what I've seen from McDermott, again, he's a physical presence. He is not just a guy who fights. He wins fights decisively, Bob. You're going to like this guy. And the reason he gets into fights is because he hits. So I think fans will go gaga for a guy like that. And, just looking through, I love what John said about guys with real upside. Appleton may be one of those guys. Jarnkrok may be one of those guys. So, yeah, I'm really finding it challenging to limit myself to 1 or 2 players that I like.
Sounds like Eberle.
But I'll throw Eberle, McDermott, and Tanev, I think, are probably the 3 players I'm most excited to see.
What about you, John?
For me, Giordano. Susi from Minnesota wasn't a name that we talked about a ton, but I think he was a really, really solid pick. And then I think on the offensive side, Yanni Gord, to bring in someone who has been a reliable goal scorer in the playoffs for a team that just won back-to-back cups. Yanni Gord walks into that dressing room with a lot of cred. When you have won the cup consecutive years and scored big goals to help your team do it, he's someone that every player on this team has watched play on television, has watched play up close, and now he steps out of the shadow of the likes of a Stamkos and a Braden Point in Tampa Bay, and I think Yanni Gord's going to be a huge member of the Kraken in year 1.
Well, that does it for us. What a fun time, though. I appreciate this. This was fun for me.
This is great.
As a hockey novice, listening to you guys go back and forth on this, and quickly, give me 10 seconds. I got to ask you this question I was debating with Salk during the break. Greatest hockey player in the history of the sport?
Well, Gordie Howe. You have to say, you're asking somebody from Michigan.
Come on.
Now you would say Bobby Orr.
Of course it's Bobby Orr.
So you
Who's
now
universally considered the greatest? Universally considered the greatest ever.
I will say this. Red Fisher, who we know was the Montreal Gazette beat writer for many, many years. I have his book on my shelf. Red Fisher, God rest his soul, he's passed away. Red told me his answer was Bobby Orr. That Bobby Orr got him out of his chair at the old Forum.
It's cool.
More often
It's
than
cool.
anybody else.
Bob had never heard of him, and had never heard of Orr's
Yes,
goal.
I've heard of him.
Oh, you've heard of Orr.
I just
sorry.
didn't. I hadn't seen that play you were showing
Right.
me. Of course, I've heard of
He'd
it.
never heard it, never seen the Orr flying goal that win the 72
I would say
Cup.
this. So speaking of everybody's summer reading list, read The Game. Go out and buy The Game by Ken Dryden, who was the goalie on those great Canadiens teams. Best hockey goalie, perhaps. Best hockey writer as well. Ken Dryden, The Game. Read it. Love it.
That's Jon Morosi. You see him, you hear him every week here on 710 ESPN Seattle talking baseball. You can catch him on NHL Network as well, MLB Network. Mike Salk, of course, you're very familiar with. A lot of fun, guys. Thanks to Mike Lefkoe, DJ Wilder, everybody behind the scenes. I'm Bob Stelton. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on 710 ESPN Seattle.
Go Kraken.
Seattle Kraken select from the Nashville Predators. Marshawn, take it away.
Let's see, so with this the first pick, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the first pick, we're going with the boy Cali, though. You know what I'm talking about?
Yup, Cali Yarncrow.
Cali Yarncrow.